Good afternoon. Valerie Milano here, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times and Aspiring Magazine. And I'm in Washington, D.C. visiting. And I just want to welcome our guest, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Thank you so much.
Hi. Yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Dustin Curtis Murphy. I am the writer, director, and one of the producers of the film Teleport.
Yes, in a dystopian future, new teleportation enables, the technology enables two queer refugees to escape genocide. But when they trust a shady back alley teleporter, they are separated and fall victim to an insidious network of human traffickers who supply young girls to Britain's top politicians. Now they must find a way to escape their captors and reunite. And I was so thrilled watching this film. Really enjoyed it a lot, and I'm glad to have you with us, Dustin.
Thank you
Um,
so much. Thanks for watching.
it's great, thank you. This film puts a new twist on the familiar tropes of illegal immigration, societal intolerance, and homophobia with a violent solution for them. The depiction of these themes is frightening, to be sure, but they are nonetheless plausible. It's set in the future, but is this reality now in part of the world?
Yeah, I mean, I like my favorite pieces of sci-fi are pieces that hold up a mirror to society and are more pieces of social commentary and kind of a peek into a very plausible future as a sign of warning. And some of my favorite pieces of sci-fi in the past, if you look at a lot of George Orwell, 1984, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451. My film is definitely in line with those type of films, to where sometimes we look back at those books now, even though they've been done, 80 to 100 years ago almost. And we see how they were predictions of the future that are a lot of them have unfortunately come true in some pretty terrible ways. So yeah, when in writing this film, it was a little bit of seeing what the modern direction that we're heading in and making the film as a little bit of a warning sign of, hey, let's not go in this direction.
Plot has an amazing intensity and rhythm to it, which gets even more intense when we realize Ekaterina is the second of the two women to be transported, and she's looking for Anna in the dark underworld of human trafficking.
Mhm.
Quite imaginative and different, and it changes the equilibrium of the film.
It
How
does.
did you come to twist the plot like that?
Well, twists are one of my favorite things that I've always loved watching. And I think uh, this type of a twist is one that I hadn't necessarily seen done before. Typically it's a twist of you don't know, who the bad guy is, and or some of my favorite twists of all times, the original Planet of the Apes, you didn't realize you were on planet Earth, or I love especially the early work of M. Night Shyamalan, always a big fan of Rod Serling in The Twilight Zone. Alfred Hitchcock's done some great twists. Um, but as you mentioned, this is a timeline twist, where you think you're watching a linear film, and the twist is that you were actually watching a nonlinear film, which I had never quite seen before. Obviously, you've seen nonlinear films um, that are nonlinear from the get-go. I think maybe the closest thing I could think to it, even though it's completely different in tone, would be the pilot episode of This Is Us. If anybody has seen that, that would be a similar twist to where you think you're watching one timeline and then you at the end you realize you're watching two timelines. So maybe I was subconsciously inspired by that a little bit because I do love that show and I do love that writer. But I think actually I'm just maybe realizing that now on this call.
Oh, yeah, I do too. But yay, okay. The cast is stellar, especially Tharika Wilson Reed and Borislava Stratieva. Is that how I pronounce
Mhm.
it?
Yep.
Okay. Being the central characters. Can you talk about how you cast them in this role and how it was working with this wonderful cast?
Yeah, absolutely. So we worked with casting directors for some of the roles that were people that weren't already within my sphere of collaborators. I always love working with the same collaborators over and over again, kind of, your drama troupe, so to speak. My background is doing a lot of short films, I mean, and theater as well. So a lot of it is thinking of good roles for the people you already have in your back pocket that you know you have a good working relationship with, and writing roles to their strengths. But with both Therica Wilson-Reed and Borislava, both of them, this is my first time collaborating with them. Therica was actually a contact of one of my co-producers and one of the actors in the film, Chris Kiriakou, who plays the human trafficker. He went to a drama class with her. So that's how we were able to have a little bit of a nose in the door with her, but obviously everybody knows her from The Witcher. And we used our casting directors to get in touch and see what she had to say about it. Borislava, I met at the Raindance Film Festival. And we had an idea that she could audition for the role. She auditioned for the role and never looked at anybody after that. We knew who we wanted.
So the Rain Dance, you had another film at the time?
At the time, I also work in curation quite a bit. So I was working with Raindance to curate some stuff with them. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of film festivals out there, I know. Um, the cinematography plays a big role in the mood of this film,
Sure.
switching from dark and brooding in the beginning in war-torn country to bright and hopeful in England. Really, it was fascinating. I loved it. So it was in England, and it rather depicts the outlook of immigrants, both in real life and in your film, doesn't
Mhm.
it? Can you talk about?
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we wanted to create a world that felt very familiar, with just slight tweaks to it. Kind of like a Black Mirror episode, or one of my favorite references was Children of Men. Things that are dystopian, but very, very familiar and aren't rooted in the sci-fi fantasy, but in, I guess, sci-fi potential reality. So yeah, and kind of creating the look of the film, we knew we definitely had these distinct sections of the film. The first is in the war-torn area that the refugees need to escape from. We knew we needed it to be very gritty. So we, enabled more handheld, uglier colored palettes, things like that. And then when they're human trafficked, it's more about arriving at a place that you think is a safe place, and slowly you realize that it isn't the safe place that you thought you arrived in. So a lot of still shots, a lot of wide shots, letting it play out, somewhat unsettling, but somewhat a peaceful unsettlingness to it as well. And obviously, we're shooting in this beautiful location called Hinwick House, which is a couple hours north of London. Just this, it's like a 50-bedroom estate house with the craziest history with it, and all of that obviously helped fill the screen.
Yeah, beautiful scenery. Though the bad guys get their comeuppance and the brothel apparently becomes a refuge for immigrant families, there
Mhm.
isn't really a happy ending, not for Ekaterina. Is this film, uh, is this the film's message to the audience that real life doesn't always work out for everyone the way it often does in the movies?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking at a lot of watered down films these days that are coming out of more corporate Hollywood, you're gonna see more of those happy endings. And I think as a viewer, for me, if I know a happy ending is always gonna come, it's kind of ruins the journey for me. So I think keeping audiences on their toes as to sometimes you're going to get a happy ending and sometimes you're not going to get a happy ending, um, kind of helps enjoy the viewing experience. And in this case, I felt to be kind of the most respectful choice to people who are dealing with these real life issues of, refugee crisis and human trafficking, to show that, you know, a lot of these people don't get happy endings, right? So it's important that you walk away from the film motivated to, when you come into contact with these topics in real life, what can you do about it? And I think a happy ending would just kind of placate that and just make people feel good and maybe not jump to action like they otherwise would with a negative ending.
Before we started the recording here, you were talking about the different names of the film, and you had a
Sure.
different graphic. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So the film was originally titled Coyote, and it got released in the US and in Canada under that title. Coyote is more American slang, Mexican slang for the Mexican-American border, and a coyote is the person who would smuggle immigrants and refugees over the border. So that is what the title references. For our UK distributor, they thought that it was too much of an American reference that UK audiences wouldn't understand. So they went for the title Teleport for the UK release.
Okay, thank you for explaining that because I didn't know any of that. So to start wrapping it up, what are you working on next? Have you thought about it, or are you in the process?
Yeah, absolutely. So right after we were done shooting, actually, I think we had one more day left to shoot on this Coyote slash Teleport. We shot a short film with a set with a lot of the same crew, same DOP, called Everything Is Out to Get Me. It was our first time shooting on actual film stock instead of digital. That's been going around the festival circuit as well. Was nominated at the British Short Film Awards, longlisted for a BIFA. That's being developed into a feature version of that right now. And that one is a little bit more of a contained psychological thriller, kind of rooted in romantic relationships gone awry.
Oh, okay. Well, make sure you keep us posted on everything that you're working on. And on that note, can you tell our viewers and our readers how best to find Teleport slash Coyote, and more information about you, social media or websites or?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a website associated with the film that has information on where you can watch it. It's teleportyourself.com. And I know in the UK, it just recently became available streaming free for Prime members on Amazon Prime, which is one of the best places to probably to watch it, but it is also on other platforms like iTunes as well, Sky as well. If you are in the US, I believe it's available on Tubi now. If not, they're definitely on Amazon as well, Amazon Prime.
Excellent. And your website, do you have one, Dustin?
Yeah, for my directing work, if you want to keep up with me, I'm dcmfilmmaker.com, also DCM Filmmaker on all of the socials.
Excellent. And we're hollywoodtimes.net, and the Hollywood Times Official is our YouTube channel. And so we'll be sending you out this link with the review, and thrilled to have met you virtually. Maybe one day we'll meet in person
Hope
from
so.
this
Thank you very
film
much.
festival. So thanks again, Dustin, for your time, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for highlighting the film.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.